Okay.
I hope it shows up.
Oh my goodness, I hope it shows up too. Those things are expensive. Hey guys, we are live here today with our last author chat of this week. I am fever free, so yay. So exciting. So we're here today with C.L. Walters and her story of the Kanto Chronicles. The first book is Swimming Sideways. I love these covers. These are so pretty.
I do too.
And guys, I am actually giving away these copies and they are signed. So make sure you enter the giveaway. I'm pretty sure it's already on the YouTube. It may not be. I will have to check, but it will be on there for you guys to fill out. And it's just a raffle copter. It will go for the rest of the month. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Guys,
Thank you for having me.
If you have a question, you can toss it in the live chat below. If for some reason YouTube wants to be mean to you and will not permit you to do that, you can tweet it out to me, Instagram me in a comment, you can DM me, ask your questions, and I will find them. All right, so as usual, I like to start it off with just knowing a little bit about you. Tell us about you and your journey becoming author and your titles.
Oh, goodness. Let's see. I have been writing for as long as I can remember, just from even just being a little kid. So I went through college, English major, because I love books, love writing, love reading, and have been writing that whole time. But I didn't actually start on the publishing journey until maybe 2016. And that was because I kept querying the traditional way, and I kept facing walls of rejection, and probably for good reason. But eventually I was just like, I'm going to try the indie publishing route. And so that's what I did. And so that's what you see now is about 4 years now of indie publishing work. And then really this last year when I re-released the Kanto Chronicles with their new covers, it really kind of started coming together. So it's taken some time, but I've enjoyed the process.
Yeah, I saw the other covers online when I was trying to do all my little animated buttons and stuff, and I'm like, I like these covers more.
Yes, so do I.
Is this your publishing company then that's on this, the mix?
Yes, that is my imprint. Yeah, so I opened an imprint, and part of that is because research shows that when you are branding yourself and you're building a writing brand as an indie author, that is one way in which you establish yourself as a credible indie author, to establish the fact that you are a business and you are building a business. So that's why I built my own brand and my own publishing imprint. Yeah.
So are you going to take submissions and publish other people's books as well? Or?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I do know that is kind of something in my head that I've been thinking about. Hawaii, where I live, is very limited, I think, in its options for authors, especially with the traditional route. So I'm not sure. I don't have established relationships with the publishing industry, which I think is really, really vital when going kind of that traditional route. So I'm not sure yet, but we'll see. I'm doing a lot of research and just trying to figure that piece out for myself.
Woohoo. Well, we have some people in here. Hello, Allie, as always.
Yay!
I think she watches almost every single show that I've done. Glad to have you. All right,
Yay.
So we're going to start off. Let's talk about the inspiration for this series, because it was very interesting. I loved how each book had a different point of view. It worked out so well. Like, that doesn't work, and this it just worked so well with the series. So how did you come up with it?
I'm so glad that you thought so. Well, the series started in 2008, right around the Twilight saga, right? I read the Twilight series, and I was just so I was so annoyed with how one of the characters was treated that I was like, I think I can do this. I'm going to try my hand at it. So I wrote a story. It's nothing like what you have in front of you, but I wrote a story, and it was the only thing really that is the same from that story is that it was Abby, Seth, and Gabe. And I just tinkered with it for 8 years, and then finally I was like, okay, at that point it was angels and demons and paranormal and all kinds of stuff, and then eventually I just was like, this is not working. And I stepped back and I was like, I think I need to make it contemporary. And I actually wrote The Ugly Truth first. So that was the one that was written first, but it wasn't the first book. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't get the end to work, because I thought it was a standalone. And I just was like, this is not working. I don't understand why this end isn't working. And then I realized I had written them out of order and it needed to start with Abby's story. So that's kind of how the journey to those 3 novels happened.
Ooh, so like in the original, was Abby a demon or was she still human? Or
actually, in the original, Gabe was a fallen angel, and Seth and Abby were what were called guardians of these portals that demons or these shards had created. And so that's kind of how it started, and definitely moved away from that.
That sounds so interesting, though.
Well, you can go read it if you want to. I posted it to Wattpad.
You did. Oh, that's cool. I'll have to do that. I was like, maybe you could revisit that and revamp it and stuff, because that sounds
maybe
sounds pretty cool. So how many books will be in this series? Because I know that you had posted something about another book, but I guess that one's a standalone.
Yeah, I have a new book coming out in October. It's a standalone YA contemporary romance. Totally different characters. Everything's different about it. Nothing connected. It's its own. About Emma and Tanner. And so that's going to stand alone. I do anticipate perhaps there'll be other Cantos novels, but not necessarily connected to this particular journey, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can still have, because it's set in the same world, and maybe they see somebody walk by or something,
right.
Know them, I don't know. They go to check out at Starbucks, and that's their cashier. Just a little tidbit,
Well, I think Abby's brothers are super interesting. Her twin brothers are very interesting. Nate and Matt, I think they're interesting. I also liked Hannah. I think Hannah's a cool character that would be interesting to revisit. So I think there's lots of characters and options, but I haven't gotten there yet. I've been tinkering around with some other work.
That's cool. I love it when authors revisit, series that people have enjoyed and stuff, because it's always nice to get, an update on what these people are up to, a couple years down the road. I love that.
Yeah, especially if you like the characters, definitely.
Then it's just kind of remembering, wait, don't I know that person? kind of feels like it is in real life. you don't see somebody for a few years, like, wait, I know you from somewhere. I'm not sure where I know you from, but I know you from somewhere. So hard.
Yes, that haze of familiarity.
So the next thing we're going to talk about are these beautiful covers. Oh my goodness, guys! Like, if you haven't seen these, I mean, like the things that I've created are amazing, but like seeing these things in person, I mean, that was the first thing that I saw before I invited you to come on the video. I saw these covers, I think on Instagram or something, and I just was like, oh, I need to talk to this lady, because these are
well, I wish I could say I did them. I didn't do them. I just said, oh, I love them. A woman named Sarah Oliver designed them. She's from New Zealand, and she is also on Instagram. That's how I found her, and she's just phenomenal. And she's actually working on the new cover for my new novel, so I'm excited. I can't wait to see her unveil that. So
and definitely
she's great,
because these are like, I mean, like, if you saw this in the bookstore, you would think that was a traditionally published title.
Yes.
That is so nice.
It is beautiful.
So, of course,
gorgeous.
Being self-published, or indie publishing, you had all the inspirational content for your covers. How many covers did you go through? Because it's had one other cover previously, and then you switched to these.
Yes, just the original one that I went through, and then these. And I knew that, just based on learning and making mistakes, I knew that I needed to, if I wanted to present myself as a legitimate author that people would be excited to pick up, I needed to be more professional. And so that was one of the reasons I commissioned those covers. And Sarah did a phenomenal job. In fact, Swimming Sideways won for the independent reader
Oh,
our
wow.
indie reader
Ooh.
this year, fiction cover of the year. So that was really exciting.
Well deserved. Holy crap. So
Yeah.
how many renditions of these covers did you go through before you got like this exactly?
Just that one.
Oh, that
Yeah,
was like a
she and I,
first.
yeah, she and I
Wow.
worked on it together. So she'd send me a copy and I'd give her some feedback and then she'd
Mhm.
work on it. But that's the first time they were brought out into the world as what you have in your hand.
Oh, wow. That's like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, in Swimming Sideways, I'm just going to kind of talk about book one so we don't give any spoilers or anything. But,
Yeah.
you know, you tell the story in like good Abby, bad Abby. Why did you do this? And then going on to the second and third book, why did you decide to do those from a different point of view?
Oh, that's a good question. Abby, well, I'm a huge fan of YA fiction. I read it, a ton of it. Just, I'm always reading. So, and I think one of the big questions in YA fiction is always, who am I? And how do I relate to the world that I'm in? So as I was writing Abby, I knew that one of the things that she was struggling with, just because of the secret that she brings with her to her new place in Cantos, was recognizing that whatever was working for her in Hawaii when she still lived there, for some reason in her mind, that wasn't it was bad, right? So she wasn't going to be able to use those same exact tools because she needed to change. So in her mind, she needed to become good. So that was kind of that dichotomy between how we sometimes think one thing about ourselves and put that in a box with a contrasting thing. And so that was kind of why I went with good and bad Abby. In her mind, that's how she put those together.
I really kind of liked it because it gave, you know, a really in-depth look on how she was coping with everything and, you know, and how she saw the world and her decisions and everything else. So it made her a very well-rounded character, I think.
Oh, good.
And then
I really liked it.
And then why
I'm
did
sorry,
you
go ahead.
decide? Why did you decide to go into two other different points of view for the other two stories?
Well, I've been an English teacher for a really long time, and one of my favorite books to teach has always been To Kill a Mockingbird. And the reason is because of Atticus and that moment when he tells Scout, you never really know someone until you're standing inside their shoes. And that was kind of why I looked at Abby's story and then these two male characters. She's really the catalyst for the rest of the story. I've always called it kind of a bromance because it really is about Seth and Gabe. And the way that their relationship has fallen apart. So you really don't understand Seth. You just kind of see him kind of as not a very likable. You like him, but then you don't really like him, and you're not sure why. And it gives us kind of a deeper look into why people make choices they make, not really necessarily understanding all the things that they're going through, which is why I chose to do it that way.
Well, it worked out. I know that when I was talking the reviews on Goodreads, I was seeing people. It's like when I read the first one, I like hated Seth, and then it's like I read this one, then you kind of like realize why he is the way that he is, and that just worked out so much better because you really get to understand, you know, these people's decisions and stuff like that.
Well, and I think that's part of that teen experience, right? Is that struggle to understand that people aren't just necessarily the picture that they present to you. There are layers to their experience that define that perspective and those behaviors.
See, what was the hardest aspect of creating this series?
Oh, it was writing Gabe's story. The third story was the hardest for me to write. Besides the fact that he's a multicultural male, which I am not, his experience is very, very difficult. And so, I mean, the opening chapter is him walking into the woods thinking that he wants to end his life. And so how do you now write a story from that opening moment? And so it was a heavy story to write. So there was that, and then just a lot of different layers going into that story that made it really complex and difficult. A difficult place to sit for a year.
I understand that one. That was definitely close to home. This will mark the 11th year of when I attempted suicide back in 2009. So, his story definitely pulled on the heartstrings.
Yeah, so now that's why it has that trigger warning at the beginning, because like I don't think you should walk into that story knowing what you're going to face, because I don't think it's an easy story to read.
Yeah. I think that we have ratings for everything else, for music and movies and everything else. Why books like they don't have ratings. They're set in their genres and that's it. I think there's like one publishing company out there, is it Tinkling Publishing, that they put actual ratings on the back of their book.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, I think
you're right.
I think publications should start doing that, because then it's right there. There are no surprises for things, especially if it deals with like rape, domestic violence, suicide, drugs, anything like that. The people need to know. I know in my reviews, I always try and put that stuff at the bottom of it, go into this one knowing, and then just list out everything I possibly can, because it's stuff that, that sometimes the cover looks fluffy and then you get into the story and it's like,
and you're like, whoa.
I know, what is it? Family of Stars did that. Like, it's got a girl on the front of it. It's got stars and stuff all over it. You think it's this like just contemporary thing, and it's like, oh no, it's about this girl's boyfriend that gets accused of raping somebody else. And it's like, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, I totally hear you, and I also think sometimes what YA sometimes does a bit of a disservice to the YA reader or the teen reader, because I think teens are going through difficult things. And YA tends to sometimes gloss over those difficult things. And so I think having that ability to have a rating system or something that would allow for more, just this is what you're getting, and then allows for more clarity, but also allows for more truth as well in the genre.
Yeah, definitely. See, who is one of your favorite authors, and what book from them should we read?
Oh, one of my all-time favorite authors is probably Marcus Zusak. He wrote The Book Thief, Bridge of Clay.
The Book Thief, right?
Yes, his writing is just, it's gold, but there's a ton of authors I love to read, so many. One of my other favorite books is Speak by Laurie Halsey Anderson. It's an older book. I think it came out in 2009. Just absolutely love that book.
She's nice.
You have met her?
Yeah, I met her at a book event a couple of years ago.
I just love that book. Love it. Some authors that I'm really, really digging right now, Bridget Kemmerer. She wrote the Curse Breakers trilogy. There's only 2 out. Yes.
Yes.
And she has a ton of YA contemporary that I love.
The Letters to the Lost is so beautifully written. And then like when she switched over to fantasy, I was just like, holy crap. Like, this gives you like, everything you love from contemporary, and then it gives you the fantasy aspect, and it was just blended so well. And it's like, you could not have done any better than that. I love her. I'm part of her street team, so I love
that's awesome.
that series so much.
So do I. V.E. Schwab, I love Shades of Magic series. I think it's amazing. And I just discovered, although I know it's been out for a long time, Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff and their Illuminae files, and then the Aurora cycle. I love them. I just love them.
I try to read those so much. But it's like everything, it's in like all redacted files and stuff. That
I think it's a mindset for sure. You have to walk in going like, oh, okay, what am I reading? I had to it took me a little while to kind of get used to the voice.
It's definitely fast though, because I had gotten a copy of that from work and sat down and was reading it. I think I finished it in like an hour, maybe just over an hour, if even that, because a lot of it you don't even read it, you just look at the pictures and you kind of flip the page and you go, and then like the next one you'll have like 3 lines to read because everything else is I was like, okay, wait, this is gonna mess up my Bookly app altogether, so I decided not to keep track of it.
I liked the way that it played with form, and like if you look at the Kansas Chronicles and you'll get Swimming Sideways,
right,
The Ugly Truth, I played with form a little bit, and I love the way that they played with form with that series. It's fascinating, and it kind of incorporated prose, letter writing, emails, but also poetry and visual art. It was just fascinating to me how they did
like
that.
Recommendation, guys, if you use the Bookly app, because it keeps track, it tells you like how fast you read. Don't use it with the book, because like when I got done, because that book is like I think 400 or 500 pages long.
Mm-hmm.
Big book, and it's like you read it in like an hour. It's like you've done like 9,800 and some odd pages, in an hour, and I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, sure I did. So yeah, don't go with that book. Just don't, because it's just gonna mess everything up. See, now that you've completed quite a few books, because you have like these 3, I saw another one out that you have that's adult. That cover looks beautiful. So is it just
same artist? Yes. That's a adult contemporary kind of romance with a bit of suspense in it.
It looks good. It looks good.
It was fun to write. Actually, I wrote that a long time ago. It's probably one of the first books I wrote. And not the first. The first book I wrote is put away in a drawer where it should stay. But after I finished Gabe's story, I was just so kind of in a numb space, because that story was so hard to write that I had to I used that one as an exercise to pull it out and to try to reconnect with kind of that, just something fun. And that I reread it and I was like, hey, this isn't actually that bad. So I revised it and decided I'm going to put it out there.
I tossed it on my list of books I need to read, because I'm a cover person, and I love that cover. It looks so good.
It's a beautiful cover. Sarah's amazing. She's phenomenal.
But now that you've completed a few books, does it get any easier with writing?
No, I don't think it gets any easier. I think what gets easier is to recognize, okay, you've done this before. Don't freak out. You can do it again. It's just a matter of getting your butt in the seat and doing it again. So my process kind of changes from book to book, kind of just based on where I'm at and how I'm approaching it. Like right now I'm working on a fantasy, and it's just a totally different beast than YA contemporary. So
now, is it like full-on fantasy? Is it like the magical realism fantasy, or?
I would say it's not high fantasy. I'd say it was more low fantasy, probably more akin to maybe Mary E. Pearson, Dance of Thieves, or Vow of Thieves, or
Chronicles,
kind of a little more edgy. There's a magic system in it, but it's not. It's just different. So we'll see. I don't know where it'll take me.
Like, is it an our world that has magic, or is
it has its own world?
You create everything from scratch. Okay, then that is like full fantasy. You're creating everything from scratch. That is a full-on fantasy.
Everything from scratch. Yeah.
Woohoo. Excited.
You shall see. Cross your fingers for me.
So we have a writing comment. Who is your favorite character?
Of the 3, of my own, or of in general?
Of your, well, let's do both of your books. Who's your favorite character?
Okay. Oh, that's so hard. That's like having to choose a child. I would probably say
train was running towards them. Who would you save?
Who would I save? I probably am very partial to Gabe of the 3, and probably because I have a bleeding heart that really just reaches out to that wounded character. So that's probably the one I would choose in that series.
Because you start that book and it's just so full of despair and everything, with him going out there to kill himself, and it's like you just want to like football tackle him. It's like no, this is not going to happen, and you just like grab him and like pet his head. It's like no, you're safe, you're fine, this ain't happening.
Yep, no, bro.
So then what about other books? Who is your favorite character in like the scope of reading? That's even, I don't know. I think that's kind of harder.
That is way harder.
So
Goodness gracious. There's so many that I just absolutely adore. Recently, one of my favorite characters has been probably Kel and Lila from The Shades of Magic by V. Schwab. I just really like how she developed them. Cassandra Clare always develops amazing characters. Her characterization is incredible. So when I think about what is it?
the Infernal
The
Devices.
Clockwork Prince, the Infernal Devices. That's my favorite of hers. I loved Jem, Tessa, and Will. They were really good.
That is a love triangle that all other love triangles aspire to be.
That works, right? It's a love triangle that works. Yeah, just I was thinking of why contemporary. I loved Fangirl. Fangirl is Kath is just great, and her love interest. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. Eleanor and Park. Oh my goodness, amazing.
I don't remember names.
Oh, Eleanor and Park, and they're making a movie, so I'm really excited to see how that works out. Yeah, they're in the process of casting that. Oh, Kaz Brecker from Six of Crows. How could you not talk about Kaz? I think that's how you say his name, from Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows. And
haven't read that one yet. I've read the two of the first series.
Okay, The Shadow of Bone.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't read the next one off. I have all of them. I have them. They're in my keep totes somewhere around here, but I haven't read them yet.
When you get a chance, which I know you won't because you're so busy reading all kinds of other things to prepare for these.
Oh my God, I know. I have gotten to the point where like I have one tote and I have to read everything in that tote before I can go to the next tote. But then of course that tote is now like, it's overflowed and I have the lid on it. It's at the foot of my bed with other books piled on top of it from mail. And I'm like, great, this tote is no longer half empty. It is now officially overflowing.
You are a busy lady.
And it's only getting worse. I have a job on top of it, so it's even great.
Yeah.
Even better. Let's see. So I was gonna read the same question over again. That's gonna be great. So let's see. So you've switched from YA to adult, and your fantasy is going back to YA, or?
Yeah, I would say even if you read the Cantus Chronicles, the YA is a very loose designation. I think they're pretty edgy to be just, I wouldn't call them sweet YA.
No, I mean, I would put it in like for the higher age YA, 16 up. I wouldn't give like a 14-year-old to read or anything like that. But do you think that you'll write more adult titles as well?
I have a bunch of ideas that I can develop, that I may develop at some point. I'm not sure yet. I know that right now the YA that's coming out in October, I would put it more towards YA new adult as well, because they're 18 going into college. And then for this fantasy, they're older, 19-ish, 20. So I don't know. It's kind of like my magic age tends to be kind of that older YA, right on the cusp of making adult decisions and trying to figure out themselves out in that capacity.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a better spot to be in for some things, because then, you don't have to deal with school sometimes, because you don't have to just play the summer card where it's always summer. Right. They graduated, they're done. I don't have to deal with school anymore.
That's true. That's true.
Somebody else that I had talked to, they're like, that they added portions of these people being in school, and she's like, this one I don't have to worry about that, because it's summer through the entire thing. It's done. Don't have to worry about it. It's like,
right.
You can't have them sit in calculus for 3 hours, and just talk about math. It's not going to happen.
Right.
So you said you had a book coming out later this year. What is that?
Yes. That one is about Emma and Tanner. Both of them are on the cusp of graduation, and now that they're looking at graduation, they're both questioning their life choices. So you're like, what's next in my life? And Emma's looking at all the perfectionism and the way that that's kind of locked her in this fearful space that she feels like super ill prepared for college now, because she's been like only focused on what she can control. Tanner, on the other hand, is the party boy, F-boy extraordinaire, and has absolutely slacked and done absolutely nothing. And now he's like, I have no options. And they share a moment during their junior year that neither of them have ever been able to like lose. I mean, it's just kind of stuck with them. And then, so right before graduation, they kind of reconnect, and it's the way that their romance kind of, the way that their relationship supports one another's growth. But there's always that price you pay right when you try to have someone else fill the holes in yourself.
Right.
And so, yeah, that's kind of that's that story and their love story and how it all goes down.
Nice. That sounds good. Love it.
So it was fun to write.
What have you been reading?
Oh my goodness. Right now I'm reading Burn by Patrick Ness. It's a brand new one that just came out. I also picked up I haven't read it. I'm really late to the fandom, but a Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah. I just picked that up. I've been reading a lot of Lisa Brown Roberts. She's a contemporary YA author, and she's just adorable. I love her stuff. She wrote The Bookworm Crush.
Oh, okay.
So cute. Tiffany Schmidt is another. She wrote the Book Boyfriend series, which is really cute. I just wrote Red Talk Nerdy to me. It was cute. So just kind of been reading fun things. I've also been reading a few arcs. I have some indie friends who are working on their books. I've been doing that as well. And yeah, that's kind of where I've been at in reading. I just am always picking up something to read. Never not reading.
Right. I know that feeling. So is there anything coming out this year that you can't wait for?
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to Bridget Kemmer's new one, but that's not till
it's not till next
January.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Sabaa Tahir's new one. Sabaa Tahir's Fourth in the Ember. That one's in
I'm
December.
Thinking never mind. Yeah.
The Fourth Ember and the Ashes, but that's not what it's called. It's Ember and something.
It's
that one. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the fourth one of that. That's December. Nick Stone's Dear Justice comes out in October. I'm really looking forward to that one. So yeah, there's a few titles that I've pre-ordered. I've got my pre-order already, my game on.
So many books coming out. And it's like I need the power just to like freeze time, like a month. Just take 30 days and just do nothing but just sit there and read all day, every day. You know, no bills due. Time isn't going anywhere. Just get up and just read.
Yes, I'm with you on that.
Or like a Groundhog's Day or something, but that time's still going. So I think I'd rather just freeze time for like a few. Be better.
But we could still move, right? So time might stop, but we can still move.
Yeah. Like convenient. Goodness. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. That is all of the questions for today.
Thank you.
I will put up the giveaway for these books if it is not already up. I have a feeling I already did it or I started it. I vaguely remember doing so. It's such a long day for my birthday, man. It's crazy.
That's right. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. And guys, you can join me next week on the 24th. And then that is the only show we have for next week. And that will be for The Beast's Heart. And I actually have 2 copies of this, so I will be giving one away. Bam. And she will be coming on the 24th at 6 p.m. And then the last show of the month will be for What's Left of Me on the 30th at 7 p.m. And that will be it for this month. If you guys want to stay tuned to the channel, I will actually be back to do a live opening because I've got a couple of packages here. So I thought, why not just show everybody my mail? So you can sit there and watch me freak out on where my Owl Crate box went because it's missing. And
I hope you find it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.